Welcome to this explainer. Today we're diving straight into one of the absolute heaviest hitters in all of literature. We are going to unpack Victor Hugo's epic, Les Misérables, to see what it can teach us today. We'll be looking closely at the devastating reality of extreme poverty, the crushing weight of unforgiving laws, and ultimately, the absolutely life-altering power of mercy. So whether you know the broad strokes of this story from the musicals or you're coming to it completely fresh, we're going to see exactly why this journey of redemption has echoed through the centuries.
So, let's start right off the bat with the biggest question. How does a stolen loaf of bread ignite a revolution of the soul? It sounds kind of crazy, right? But this isn't just a story about petty theft. It's a deep, chronological dive into one man's fight against a completely rigid world.
To really get what's at stake here, we got to look at the timeline. We kick off in 1815, right around the fall of Napoleon. And 1815 is also the exact same year our main guy, Jean Valjean, is released from prison. Fast forward a bit, and everything culminates in 1832, during the June Rebellion in Paris. Now, really important side note here. This 1832 uprising was a smaller, student-led rebellion against the monarchy. It is entirely distinct from the famous 1789 French Revolution. Keep that in mind, because this chaotic political backdrop is what sets the stage for everything else.
And you might be wondering, who exactly are the title characters? Well, Les Misérables literally translates to the miserable ones. It perfectly captures the massive, almost insurmountable wealth gap of the era. We're talking specifically about the struggling working class and the people completely trapped inside a merciless criminal justice system. It's a direct spotlight on systemic injustice.
Which brings us to a really tough number. 19. 19 years. That is how long Jean Valjean was locked up in a brutal, unforgiving prison. And his crime? Well, on one freezing winter night, he stole a single loaf of bread to feed his sister's starving kids. Just let that sink in. For an act of pure survival, he lost nearly 2 decades of his life. It's a glaring indictment of a system designed to punish, not rehabilitate.
So he finally gets out, right? But he's not actually free. Upon his release, society forces him to carry a yellow identity card. It's basically a permanent brand, a neon sign telling everyone he's a criminal. Because of this card, people turn their backs on him. He can't get honest work, he can't even get a bed for the night. The system is literally built to keep him trapped in his past.
But then, everything changes. Desperate and shunned by everyone, Valjean is taken in for the night by a kind old priest, Bishop Muriel. And what does Valjean do? He steals the bishop's silver candlesticks in the middle of the night. But when the cops catch him, the bishop does the unthinkable. He lies. He covers for Valjean, giving him the silver and saying, "You belong to God now. Go and be honest." Instead of throwing him back to the wolves, he hits him with this radical, absolutely disruptive mercy. And that one moment of pure forgiveness hits Valjean so hard, he vows right then to completely turn his life around. And he actually does it. Step 1, he sheds his past and takes the new name Monsieur Madeleine. Step 2, he invents a new factory process and builds serious wealth. Step 3, he doesn't hoard the money, he builds roads and directly helps the poor. His impact is so huge that, Step 4, the grateful townspeople actually elect him mayor. Talk about a complete 180.
But of course, a guy with Valjean's past is never totally safe. He is constantly being hunted by Inspector Javert. And this dynamic right here, this is the core conflict of the entire story. On one side, you have Javert, who is the human embodiment of strict, unyielding law, no gray areas whatsoever. On the other side, you have Valjean, representing compassionate moral redemption. It's a total ideological collision course.
Now, let's see how this unforgiving society crushes someone else. This is the absolute tragedy of Fantine. She works in Valjean's factory to support her little girl Cosette. But when the town finds out she had a child out of wedlock, they fire her. From there, it's a terrifying downward spiral. She's extorted by these awful caretakers, the Thénardiers, and she gets so desperate she's literally forced to sell her own hair and teeth just to survive. Tragically, she becomes severely ill and dies, using her last breath to beg Valjean to rescue her daughter.
Valjean, driven by this new moral compass, makes a vow to do exactly that. He tracks little Cosette down, pays off those cruel innkeepers, and rescues her from a life of basically slave labor. He whisks her away to Paris, vowing to raise her with boundless love. He steps right into the role of a devoted father, finally breaking the cycle of misery for at least one child.
Fast forward several years, and things accelerate big time. Cosette is all grown up and falls head over heels for a young man named Marius. But Marius isn't just some regular guy, he's a student actively fighting for political change. This brings us right back to our timeline. Marius is fighting on the highly dangerous barricades of the 1832 rebellion. Suddenly, the stakes are life and death all over again.
During the absolute chaos of the uprising, Marius is critically wounded. Valjean, knowing how much Cosette loves this kid, steps in. He throws the unconscious Marius onto his shoulders and risks his own freedom to save him. He literally carries Marius through the dark, treacherous, pitch-black sewers of Paris to get him to safety. It is just an incredible act of physical and emotional endurance.
Meanwhile, we get this massive turning point with Inspector Javert. After dedicating years to hunting Valjean, Javert suddenly finds himself completely at Valjean's mercy. And Valjean, he just lets him go free. This absolutely shatters Javert. He is so torn between his strict adherence to the law and this undeniable new compassion he just witnessed. He just can't reconcile the two. Tragically, unable to live with the ideological collapse, Javert takes his own life.
With Javert gone and Marius recovered, Marius and Cosette happily get married. But Valjean knows he has one final act of courage left. Honoring the bishop's words from decades ago, he insists on living completely honestly. He makes the ultimate confession to Marius, revealing the truth about his criminal past. He does it knowing he might face arrest or rejection, but for him, the truth is worth the risk.
And that brings his incredible arc to a close. Valjean eventually dies peacefully, but not alone. Cosette and Marius are kneeling right by his side. Just think about the magnitude of that journey for a second. From a hardened prisoner locked up for 19 years to a highly respected mayor. From an outcast with a yellow card to a deeply loved father. He completely transformed his world and the lives of everyone around him through pure mercy, love, and courage.
So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with this thought to chew on. We've seen how Valjean's life was completely rerouted by a single act of grace, proving just how much rigid punitive systems fail compared to the power of rehabilitation. So ask yourself, how might applying this level of radical mercy shift the balance for the miserable ones in our society right now? Can compassion still truly transform the most desperate lives in our world today? It's a huge question, and absolutely one worth carrying with you. Thanks for diving into this with us, and keep exploring the stories that shape our world.